Hello everyone, my name is Salar and you are watching JavaScript tutorials on Smart Code. This is our tutorial number 18 and you already know we are learning string data type in JavaScript. In the previous two tutorials, we covered the basics of the string and you know how to create string variables and what string immutability is, right? And the concept that we are going to cover in this tutorial is the core concept. We will actually see string representation in the memory. And without having knowledge of memory representation, you can't perform operations on the string. But you don't need to worry. Just stick this tutorial and you will learn each and everything. Right, so you will first learn string representation in the memory, and once you know how it works, you will be able to access an individual character in the string. And for that, so we only have two methods. We can use bracket notations or we can use charAt function, right? And we will see both the methods one by one, and we'll also see the difference between them, right? So let's start with memory representation. We have a string in our program and here we have a string object, right? Now, if you have watched our first tutorial on the string, then you are familiar with this diagram. We have a string reference variable in the program, which is pointing to a string object in the memory. Now, I want you to put focus only to this object. A string object consists of characters, and the size of every character is 2 bytes. So JavaScript assigns 2 bytes of memory to every character, and it will look like as see on the screen. So what you see here is every character is placed separately in a memory box, and the size allocated to each box is 2 bytes. And this memory allocation will always be consecutive. Now, one last thing that JavaScript does after consecutive memory allocation is it assigns index value to every memory box, just like you see on the screen. So what you see here just under each box is index value, and index value starts always from 0. So the first character's index value will always be 0, right? And this indexing mechanism is exactly the same in other languages like C++, Java, and C#. So now the question is, why do we have these index values? The answer is these index values are addresses to these characters. Let's say you are in an elevator and you want to go to floor number 10. So you will press the button 10 in the elevator. The button 10 is actually the address of the 10th floor, right? In the same way, this index 10 right here is the address of this location. So using 10, you can access only this character in the string, right? So because of these index values, you have access to individual characters in the string, right? Now, if you remember in the last tutorial, I said you would see a use of length property in this tutorial. So let's see how length property will help us to find the index value of the last character. So when I apply length property to this string, I will get 16 because the number of characters in the string are 16 and the index of our last character is 15, and this is because of index goes always from 0. So the address of last character in every string will always be length minus 1. So the length property is used to find out the index of the last character in a string. So I hope I made this concept clear to you. But if you still need help, I would suggest Google it. You will obviously find some good material to read, right? Now we return to the code and we will see how to access individual character in the string. In JavaScript, there are two ways to access an individual character. You can use bracket notations or charAt function. Brackets notation, as per my knowledge, is implemented in every programming language, and every language has also a dedicated function to do the same job. So bracket notation is very easy to code. You first write the name of your string followed by a pair of brackets, and inside the brackets you pass an index value, right?
Now let's suppose I want to read first and the last character of our string. So I would code like this. Right, so here we are applying bracket notation to our string. In the first statement, we pass 0 index, and 0 index is an address to the first character. So this statement is gonna return h from the string, right? And in the second statement, we are passing an index for the last character. And here in the output, you can clearly see we are able to read out individual characters from the string, right? And the charAt works exactly the same. Let's see how we apply it. Right, so charAt is an inbuilt function, or you can call it using period operator. And inside the parenthesis, you will pass an index value. And here we are trying to read out the first and the last character in the string. And so you see the same result. So as you have seen, both the methods are very easy to use. Now finally, what is the difference between bracket notation and charAt function? Actually, there is no difference. Both do the same job, but bracket notation has no control over index value. That means if you provide an invalid index value to the bracket notation, it will give you an undefined value. On the other hand, charAt function have some control over index values. In case of invalid index, charAt will return an empty string. You can check this out if you want, like this. So we are passing an invalid index. Index 20 doesn't exist in this string. So here we will get undefined, and this will return an empty string. And so you see in the output, this is the result of bracket notation, and empty string is right here, which is unseen, right? So now we have discussed our outline. You learned string memory representation, and you also learn how to access individual characters in the string using brackets and charAt function. And we will continue working with the string. And in the next tutorial, you will learn how to join multiple strings. I will see you there, and thanks for watching.